Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yourself 3.0 webinar 3.3. The title of the topic of today's webinar is winning reviewers art through compelling storytelling and statement of purpose. We all know, my mentor did say something. He said, we are all working stories. We are all an embodiment of stories. So for you to be able to secure transformative opportunities, you need to know how to position yourself, how to talk about what you do, how you do, and what you do it. And how can you do that? That is, you have to be able to convey your purpose through your statement of purpose. And that's why we are here, bringing one of the Nigeria's finest experts, that is Dr. Michael Taiwo, to come and facilitate a session on how to write a statement of purpose, compelling statement of purpose with that of storytelling. So I welcome you once again, and I hope you are prepared. You have your pen and paper to jot down. And if you have any question, please kindly note them down. Okay, does anyone here have any idea on what statement of purpose is all about? For us to have a brief image of our level of understanding of what we mean by statement of purpose before we go ahead with the citation of our today's facilitator.
Good evening, everyone. By understanding, I think statement of purpose is a document that outlines someone's academic qualifications, his personal goals, his personal career goals. I think something like that.
It's so good to meet you all virtually, and thanks for calling in today. I will be speaking on how to win reviewers' hearts through telling compelling stories and statement of purpose. Really, your statement of purpose is all about the story you are able to tell about yourself, about your research, about why you want a place in their admission, a place in their program. So can you see also my screen?
Yes, we can, sir.
Yes, we can see your screen. And please let me give a guiding rules for the University Scholars Forum to all participants. We understand that this link was actually shared outside the forum. Please, if you are not told or if you are not informed to unmute your mic, please do not unmute your mic at any point in during this session. There are people that are delegated with the task of responding to any questions. So please, if you have any question, put them in the chat box. Thank you very much, everyone. Please, you have the floor, Dr. Sir.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. So the statement of purpose, this is what I'm going to go through, and then when I do presentations like this, I move as quickly as possible so that I can get to your questions, because that's really where the help is going to come for you. But let me just quickly go through a statement of purpose, what it is, and the ways you can is that. That also, as a general statement, your application is a system. When admission committees are trying to award you a scholarship, they are of course going to look at your GRE, look at your GPA, look at your letters of recommendation. But one of the most important aspects of your application will be your statement of purpose. It's going to be one of them, because that's actually when they're hearing you speak. Your GPA, you went to school, you had your grades, your GRE, you wrote the exam. The letters of recommendation is where people are talking about you, but the statement of purpose is really the first time they are hearing from you. It's the first time they're beginning to have a glimpse as to who they want to bring into their program. So you can be sure that this is one part of your application that is looked at very closely. And another advantage for you is also, this is one part of your application that you have control over, that you get to shine. some of you are students, but some of you are graduates. If you're already maybe in your final year or you've already graduated, there is very little you can do now to change your GPA. And some of you, if you've written your GRE too, whatever you got is what you got. I mean, you can rewrite it, but it's very expensive. So a lot of you either don't write it at all or maybe write it once and that's it. For your statement of purpose, the ball is totally in your court. You can write it and make it as strong as possibly can be. And when we say strong now, in the context of statement of purpose, we mean convincing. You can write it as convincing as possible. And really, that's what the session is about. It's about helping you write a convincing statement of purpose. So with that, your SOP matters because, like I told you, that's when we actually begin to know who you are, why you're coming here, what are your motivations. And then is a way for them to see how clearly you write, how good you write. And then if one of the things you want to do with your statement of purpose is if there is anything that needs explaining in your application, if someone will look at your application and you feel that they might have some questions about your application, your statement of purpose is a very good opportunity for you to explain that. So the SOP is not, don't make it into an epistle. Don't make it into a novel. Well, the good thing is for many schools, they will actually tell you the length. Some will say not more than 750 words. Some will say 1,000. Some will even say 500 words. And some will say things like maybe in 1 to 2 pages. So that helps here. But even if they don't say anything, you should try to keep it to 2 pages. That's if they don't already tell you what the limit should be. We're not trying to explore all your personalities here in the SOP, so still keep it relevant. It's not a rough list of your accomplishments. It has to be whatever you're putting in the SOP should be doing a work. It should be telling a story. Also, whatever you put in there, if you put an accomplishment on your statement of purpose, it should be because that accomplishment helps you to drive your story forward, helps you to tie your narrative forward. So, then as part of your application, most times you are going to submit your resume. Don't let your statement of purpose just be a restatement of your resume. If it's something they don't say, I went to this school and then I finished in that one. Even if you're saying that, it should be because you're using it to push a narrative forward. It's because you're using it to push a story forward. It shouldn't be just you resummarizing your resume. Remember that again, your statement of purpose is your opportunity to shine. So you just don't want to you don't want to waste this opportunity. It's something that is totally in your control. It's something that is important in your application. So if you're already submitting your resume, let your statement of purpose do a different job. And your another advantage is this is not an essay that you write in an exam where you only write it once. Maybe if you have some time left, you just can quickly edit it and then you have to submit. No, this is something that you can write and rewrite and rewrite. There are some MT scholars, they write their statement of purpose 15 times, going back and forth, changing it each time. So take your time to write this. Write the first draft, sleep over it, come back, rewrite. The good thing is after a while, you would have, at some point, you will have what I call maybe like 90% of your story. You will have that down. And then depending on the school that you're applying to, you might have to change, some details. But spend as much time as needed to get a general, I would say, statement of purpose down, and then you can start tailoring it to each school. But that first general one, if it takes you a month, if it takes you 2 months, is worth it. Because again, this is your opportunity to tell your own side of the story. Some things that graduate school committees like to see, that there's no surprises here. If you are a company and you want somebody in your team, this will also be the same things that you'll be looking for. And you can't put all of this, again, this is where you have to be targeted. You can't put all of this in a statement of purpose. It will be too long and many of them will be relevant. But as many of these as you can show in your story, the better. All right. How do you write a compelling statement of purpose? I'm going to start here. A story is, we are storytellers by nature, and we love stories. That's the way we are wired. When you tell a good story, people want to read, people want to follow along. So that's why, the title of my talk is Compelling Storytelling Statement of Purpose. You just don't want to rehash dry facts. You want to tell a story. People like listening to stories, and if you write a compelling one, you've done yourself a big favor in this graduate school game. Now, when we say your story, the difference between you and just the town crier in a village square is that your story needs to be quantifiable, in the sense that as you're telling your story, you want to put data in there, you want to put numbers in there. If you're telling the story about your academics, for instance, you want to put your GPA. If you're the best student in your department, you want to put that. If you have broken a record, you want to tell them, the last time somebody had something close to this was in 1990 or something. So as an academic, when you are telling stories, you need to put facts and data in there to make the story even more engaging, even more believable. Speaking of believability, you want to be specific. You don't want to talk in general terms. You want to, when you're writing a story, you want it to be such that it's personal. Like people know that you are the one writing it. You are telling your own story, your own life history. Because when you make it generic, then you make it sound like everybody else or nobody, and those type of statements of purpose, they don't get anywhere. So you want to be as specific as possible. You want to customize your essay. Like I said already, because you are going to be applying to so many schools, so the efficient way to do it is you have a general statement of purpose, which would take you time to write. And then as you're applying to different schools, you look at their requirements, and then you tailor the statement of purpose to meet the requirements. Either their requirements or the professors that you already know have funding and you're targeting their research. These are the ways in which you customize your statement of purpose for that. You still want to, we've said you have to put data, you have to be specific. In the previous slide, we talked about the desirable characteristics, but still, you are not writing a novel. So you still want to be brief, you want to be clear, You want to be as precise as possible. When you're moving from one thought to another thought, you want to use transition words, like however, moreover, furthermore, things like that. You want to make sure that they are following you very well, and then don't let there be any error in your work. And this is easy to do these days with AI. Make sure you're checking your grammar, you're checking your spelling and all of that. You don't let it write it for you, and then you sound like everybody else and you don't sound unique. But you can definitely use it to polish your essay. Let's go deeper now. I've talked about the key features, those things you need to think about. Let's go into an example here. The structure, introduction, problem statement, what your research interest is, summary of your knowledge gained during your undergrad. Some of you might you have your master's and you're going for your PhD, so also summary of the knowledge you gained in your master's. Again, it has to be relevant knowledge, so it's not like, oh my goodness, I took a total of 60 courses in my undergrad. Which one of these do I need to share? No, you share the ones that are relevant to the program that you're applying for, and why you think you are well positioned to advance the proposed endeavor. You already know the program you're applying to, you know their research, so you want to show yourself as being aligned with their research interest. If you're already speaking with a professor and you already know which professor you're targeting, you can align in towards that. If you don't have a professor in mind and you're just applying to the program, you can go on their website and check what the department is really into. So even though a department might be, say, for instance, the chemical engineering department. Chemical engineering is a broad field. But when you look at that department, they might be more into, say, molecular biology, biomedical engineering, things like that. So you want to tailor your research in that aspect. Or you can look at their website, and even though they're chemical engineering department, they are more into maybe oil and gas or computational engineering. Then you want to tailor your research into that. And if you see that you can't tailor your research into what the department is doing, then maybe that's a good conversation that you want to have with yourself. Maybe that department is not for you. Maybe you look for another department that you can align your research into. If you already know that what they're doing is not aligned with you, or you don't think that it's something that you can do well in, then maybe that department is not for you, which is fine, because there are thousands of departments out there that will be for you. So if one doesn't work for you, you don't have to force it, So this is a place where you actually having that conversation with yourself. And everything I've said would come out in paragraph 5. Why are you selecting the program? These people, they see a lot. Obviously, they see a lot of applications. So you can't fool them because they see a lot of applications. So your best approach is to be authentic, to be true, so that when you write, there's just this conviction that will come through your voice, your words, when you're writing things that are true. For instance, if you see a department and you really feel like your research aligns with that department, and you really feel like you should be given an opportunity to study under the professors there, the way you're going to come across is going to be very different from the way you're going to come across if you just want to, you're just looking for any school to get into because you want to leave Nigeria. It will sound different. Paragraph 6 is again, you tie everything together there. I'm putting some resources in here that can help you with your graduate school application journey, but in especially this statement of purpose. If you go in here, you're going to read more about the structure. Everything I've said, they would re-say it in one way or another, and then you will learn more. Before I turn it over to questions, I want to show you an example of a statement of purpose. I'll show you an example and I will kind of break it down for you. Okay, I need to reshare. I just saw that it's still showing my PowerPoint. I need to share this one. Okay, so like I said before, statement of purpose is motivation. Why are you doing this? Your experience, your future plan, and what you want to achieve as you go. Let me break this down for the empty scholars. Let me show you his name. Ademola Adenije, he created this slide a while back. He said, okay, after my own statement of purpose presentation, I'm going to share some of what he did. It's 12. Just normal. Don't try to game the system. It doesn't work. All right. So I want to go into like more detail of an example. I kind of debated between showing you several examples or showing you one and just explaining in detail what that one entails. So I went with the latter approach. We're just going to take one example and break it down. So this is your statement of purpose. You want to introduce a problem. You want to introduce a knowledge gap and introduce your passion for advanced degree. So in this example, shortly after graduating from, the University of Ibadan, Ilorin, Lagos, I made a decision to delve deeply into harnessing solar power as a means to solving the problem of erratic power supply in my country, Nigeria. What I had learned about advancement in sustainable technologies, now this person is introducing, a problem. Some people start this by sharing how they lost maybe a friend to maybe a disease, and maybe that's why they want to study cancer or study HIV/AIDS or things like that. Some people will start with a story of how they lost their parents. Some people might start with just an event that shook them, maybe an accident they were able to escape, or maybe a news that distressed them, or maybe even how they reacted to something going on in the world. maybe the fear of World War III or the fear of climate change or something. But starting with a personal story is it's a good opener. And then you here it doesn't always have to be about your home country. Because the graduate school admissions committee, they are not the visa officers. It's for your visa officers that you have to tell them that you're coming back to your home country and you are doing research because you want to come back to Nigeria. For graduate school admission committees, they don't care. So it doesn't always have to do about your home country, but you can make it about your home country. And then you want to go into your history, your academic experience, talk about the courses you've taken. Some people come to me and say, oh, I've not done any research. That's fine, especially in undergrad. If you've done research and you published a paper, congratulations, good for you. But if you've not done it, that's okay. You don't have to, but at least you've taken classes. What have you learned in those classes? How do you believe those classes have positioned you for success in graduate school? So, you want to mention the experience, how you got the experience, what did you do, the impact of the experience. Like for the impact of the experience, look at this example. The setbacks and obstacles that required us to modify our approach enabled us to apply fundamental concepts of chemical engineering, to this. So you want, as you can tell from this statement of purpose, this is all storytelling. So when we say tell a story, tell compelling stories, this is what we mean. We're not saying like be a literature in English kind of person, but tell a narrative that will draw people in, that is believable, that is backed by numbers and facts, and that is relevant to your goal. And then, of course, if you have any research experience, you want to show, you want to say it here. If you don't have a research experience, that's fine. But even many of you will do your final year project, so you can use that in your statement of purpose. And if you're in a place where you don't have any final year project, you can talk about maybe something you did in your industrial training, IT, if it's relevant. So all your experiences, your internship, volunteering, everything is relevant in your statement of purpose. Just make sure you are able to tie it to the program and to the department. Here it's just saying, whatever course that you've taken before, you want to mention them, even if they are online courses. If you did something on Udemy or Coursera or MIT OpenCourseWare, and it has helped you to understand something better, put it here. This shows like you've done your research. So again, remember I told you that yes, you might want to have maybe a generic template and then you customize it to that school. This is why it's important, because you want to show that you're not just copying and pasting the same statement of purpose to all the schools. You want to show that, let's say you're applying to the University of Miami. You want to show that, I've spent time looking at the University of Miami's website. I've spent time on your program. I've spent time understanding what it takes to win in the University of Miami. And one of the ways you can show that is just by mentioning some maybe professors in there, or if you don't know the professors that have funding and you want to play safe, you can just mention like some research interest that you like about that program, and then say, I like that you guys are working on sinonasal cancer research, or I like that you guys are working on bioinformatics, and those are things that I want to do. So you can mention research interest, because that would also let them know that, okay, you have gone on their website and you understand what you're talking about. Your statement of purpose is not complete if you don't mention your future goals. At the end of the day, after coming to our school and graduating from our program, what do you want to be? What do you want to know? What do you want to have? Like, at the end of the day, why? Why our program? Why should we, take you? And this is where you tell that story, your goals. It also has some resources in here, which you could add that to the resources that I mentioned earlier. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the moderator for questions. Is there a place where I can open the questions and see, or if someone be asking them?
Yes, I would call those that would ask the questions. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation. Aziza Aisha, do you have any question? Please, if you are not told to unmute your mic, please kindly mute your mic, please. And if you have any question, put them in the chat box or you raise up your hand, please. And with that, I would like to call on Desmond Chukwuka. So please, your questions, keep it short, please. Less than 40 seconds. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Dr. Taiwo. Okay. Dr. Taiwo, you've made mention of, starting your statement of purpose with a story. So my question now is, how can we not sound cliche when writing our statement of purpose with that personal story? For example, now you could say, I've always wanted to be a doctor because as a 5-year-old, my parents had an accident, and I said to myself that I would love to treat other people so that they won't experience the same situation I was. But for me, it sounds kind of cliche. Like, how do you know? How can you figure out at 5 that you just want to be a doctor like that? So that's my question. How can we draw a personal introduction without sounding cliche in our statement of purpose?
That's a good question. So the way you won't sound cliche is if you is to be authentic. So if it's really true that you lost your parents when you were 5 to a disease and that's why you want to be a doctor, if it's really true, you are going to say it in a way that is going to come across as original to people. If it's not true, or if you're just using it because you want to get admission, then it's going to sound like everybody else. But if it's an experience that you have lived through and is an experience that has made an impact on you, when you're telling it, it's going to sound original. Which is why, you might want to use software and things like that, maybe to clean up your grammar or make sure you're not making typos, but you don't want them to do the writing for you. You want to write it from your heart. Using, of course, tips like this, that's why you're joining this call, so that you know what to write and what to put in. But ultimately, you want it to come from you. You want it to come from your experience. The amazing thing about we humans is that we're different and we're unique. And if you dig deeper into yourself, you're going to appear and sound different from everybody else because you are different from everybody else. So don't be afraid to lean into your individuality. To me, that's your best way to not sound cliche.
Well done, sir. Thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. My question is that, please, what is the vital part of graduate school? I mean, when someone is seeking for graduate school, what should he emphasize more on it? Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that reminds me, one of the things I like to tell people is the most important thing you want to do in your graduate school application is your selection of schools. School selection is by far the most important aspect of graduate school application, because if you go and pick an Ivy League when you know you have a 2-1, you've just wasted that. You've wasted your time. You've wasted that slot. If you're paid money, you've wasted that money. So you want to be really smart about your school application, your school selection. Pick schools that you know you have a good chance of getting into. That will help you a lot. And that comes from research. If you just pick schools that are easy to find on the internet, you're picking them because everybody is talking about them, then you're going to run into a case where maybe they have 190,000 applicants. But if you do your research, you begin to see some schools that, man, I mean, sometimes some people will tell me, I will ask them, what school did you apply to? And they will tell me, and I've been in the US a long time. I have not even heard of the name of that school. That tells me they've done their research. Those are the schools that would give you admission, because not many people know them, not many people are applying to them. And if you apply and you do all the things we've said today, write good statement of purpose and all that, then you're putting yourself in a good position. If you say, oh, no, I'm just going to apply to Stanford and MIT, guess what? Everybody in the world knows about Stanford. So good luck. But if you do your research and you find a school that not many people know about, and these are all very well equipped to let you become a world-class professional, then you've done yourself a big favor. So spend time searching for schools on the internet.
Thank you so much, Dr. Michael Taiwo. I think we've come to, although we still have so many questions in the chat box, but I think the time that you've graciously allotted us is here. And I don't know if you are still happy to take the questions, or we just call it a day with you here, depending.
Yeah, I can give you one bonus. So maybe we'll do the last one.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think I'm taking the questions that they come in. Okay, there is a question from Ewezu Ingim. He said, good afternoon. Please, if applying to schools in Europe and Canada, is GRE compulsory? If it isn't, what other exams can one write to get an edge? Thank you.
That's a good one. I don't know of any exam that would actually substitute for GRE. So it's either you write it or you don't. I mean, if you're going for MBA, then you can write the GMAT, the Graduate Management Admission Test, GMAT. But other than that, there is really no substitute for it. What I like to say is, even for schools that tell you that GRE is optional, if you write the GRE and you score very well, you've done yourself a big favor. Now, if you write it and you score, poorly or averagely, then maybe you don't even include it in your application. But if you can write the GRE and you can do very well at it, then you've done yourself a big favor, regardless of whether they say it's optional or they don't require it, or if they actually do require it. but a high GRE score is always, always a positive.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for your wonderful response.